Surprise! My first finale review is of animated Shockwave. Yeah, I said no more animated reviews before, but a while ago I bought this on clearance for $12.99. That's the price of a deluxe nowadays. A few weeks after, the price had dropped to $9.99. Son of a... In the show, Shockwave was a spy. Not only did he have two very different robot modes, like Punch, but two different vehicle modes as well. As Shockwave, his alt mode is a Cybertronian tank. It's something of an H-tank, like Armada Megatron, and while it's not the worst Cybertronian mode ever, it's still pretty weak. Mainly because there are loads of gaps that expose the robot bits. It relies a bit too much on the turret to hide what is otherwise a robot lying down. The grey and black colour scheme is one of the few that works for both allegiances. The purple redeco, while more visually interesting, doesn't. The red and metallic teal paint apps provide good contrast against the main colours. All three gun barrels can pivot up and down, though the middle barrel doesn't fire anything for reasons we'll see in a bit. Also, the turret can turn a full 360, though I wouldn't keep turning it over and over like this, or else that happens. The Cybertronian crane is only a few steps away from the tank. When going back to tank mode, when you pull this tab, the gun barrel flips out, like an automorph. This is Long Arm's alt mode. All the tank's good and bad points apply to the crane, except A, it looks more like a robot lying down because the body is raised, and B, the crane arm is rather short proportionately, so he can't look onto things too far away from him. You could probably fit a Legends on the hook if you wanted, though. It reminds me a lot of the Seacon Snaptrap because of the angled legs. Cybertronian Ratchet shares this aesthetic. That's all there is to say about this mode, really. Hang on. What's that? The Decepticon symbol printed on the gun barrel is still visible here. Bad move. It spoils the disguise. They seem to have corrected this mistake with the purple redeco. Now, let's move on to Long Arm himself. Long Arm's robot mode is the less impressive of the two, but it's still pretty good, and makes for a very convincing disguise. He's bulky just like the other animated Autobots, and all of Shockwave's details are cleverly hidden, even those on his head. I mean, it looks like he's wearing a communications helmet, which is pretty clever. Now for a quick size comparison, here he is, next to animated Lockdown. Articulation is decent, although the head is fixed, and the hips are fairly limited here. This is because Shockwave's joints are hidden so that the two robots are as different as possible, so it's not too bad. The only issue is that the lower legs are a little floppy because these panels don't lock in place. The crane becomes a weapon here, and it's rather large, I have to say. Fortunately, the ratchets in his shoulders are quite strong, so he can hold it up high without his arms sagging, which is definitely a plus. But now for the fun part. The conversion to Shockwave is, without question, the highlight of this figure. It's very well thought out, and while the general structure remains the same, head becomes a head, arms become arms, and so on, a lot of the details change along the way. Let me show you. You have the head, and there's a clever automorph that hides the face. The chest, well, the insignia really. The shoulders, the forearms, and the hands, which become claws in Shockwave's case. The hips and the waist, the thighs, the lower legs and feet. And this is the final result. A very different and very cool looking robot. While he still has some bulk, he's a lot more skeletal here, so he fits in with the animated Decepticons perfectly. And he's actually taller as well. As Longarm, he came up to Lockdown's shoulders. Here, Shockwave is only slightly taller than Lockdown. Impressive. While the purple redeco was a clear G1 homage, the head sculpt with the monocle and the horns still manages to evoke the original Shockwave without being a carbon copy. Only a few extra joints are revealed here, but they make a lot of difference. His new hip joints have a lot more range of motion. His forearms can now move inwards, and what's more, he has a neck, so his head can turn. And his shoulder ratchets are still strong enough to hold the even larger turret weapon. While his vehicle modes are a little iffy, the conversion to Shockwave alone makes the figure worthwhile. If you can still find this on clearance, buy it. And so, the time has come for me to say farewell for this video. But there's still one more figure left to look at.